You sat alone in your UA dorm room, thinking, pondering even. It was early autumn. The leaves were turning yellow, and it was getting colder outside. And while you should be focused on school and work study, all you could think of was the pool that they closed down in just a few days. You understood why. No normal student would go into a pool in the middle of winter, despite the pool being heated. You checked your nightstand clock. It was late, but not curfew late just yet. And finally you made your decision. Quickly you stood up, questioned yourself for a moment, sat back down, and continued to ponder. Why were you so indecisive? The answer was your mutation. You were amphibious, similar to your classmate Tsuyu Asui, but unlike her, your mutation was more visible. Unlike hers, your skin was squishy and rubbery. It had a greenish-blue discoloration. You had gills around your neck that, when you were angry, spewed corrosive blood, which was quite gross. Your hair always felt like a damp kelp, even if it wasn't, and was a dark shade of green. Your teeth were long and razor-sharp. The worst of all was the fact you weren't able to digest vegetables and fruit. This did, however, at least explain your affinity for water. But because of that, you really didn't want anyone to see you. Even in your hero internship, you had refused Silky's invitation and had went with a different agency. So you walked big circles around it and just took expansive baths. It just wasn't the same, though. Your problem was skin exposure. Sure, the UA swimsuits were quite conservative, but they still showed so much leg and arm. But then, finally, you made up your mind. No more running away. You put on the UA swimsuit and threw your uniform on top of it. Quietly you peeked out from your dorm room door. It was quiet. You suppressed a chuckle and the need to say, too quiet. Taking this as a sign from whatever deity actually existed, you stepped outside. As expected of early autumn, the air was moist and cool. Yet the summer heat defiantly fought this new invader, so it was actually more refreshing than cold. Needlessly stealthy considering the time of day, you crept towards your goal. Of course, UA had a private pool installation in the basement of the main building specifically for students cursed with being amphibious, but honestly, it was the same problem as this one. Too public. You hated your mutation. Because of it, you had certain needs others didn't. Once you reached the changing rooms, you quickly took off the cotton uniform before going forward towards the door that led to the pool. You tested the water with one of your fingers and shuddered. It was so wonderfully warm. With a toothy grin, you slid your body into the water. Thanks to your skin, the water didn't even make a single sound. You had closed your neck gills. There was chlorine in this water, and that would not be good for your underwater breathing apparatus. Slowly you drifted weightlessly through the water. At least until you heard the unmistakable sound of a door opening and being thrown shut. Your entire body froze, and instinctively you dived under. Did someone see you? You could hear your heartbeat increase as seconds passed. No one so far had peeked into the water. And you were slowly running out of air. You narrowed your eyes in shame. Going to this school meant to rise above your own issues, to become a hero, a symbol. Yet you couldn't even be seen swimming. And then you saw it. The silhouette of a boy jumping over you into the water. You heard the splash and felt the shifting pressure in the liquid around you. Who on earth decided to go dipping almost at the same time as you, at a time like this? Quickly, you try to think of a plan. Breathing the chlorine would certainly either give you a very bad stomachache or, worst case, cripple your gills, so you could not risk that. Right now, the boy was right above you. You felt wrong staring up at his butt. And then, without warning, splash. The boy dived down. Your heart jumped. It was Bakugou. For a split second your eyes met. He screamed in shock. For a moment he struggled before breaking the water's surface. There he remained for a minute and a half before diving back down. He swam directly towards you with a very determined facial expression. Once he was close to you, he signaled with his hand for you to get up with him. You simply shook your head, but knowing him, he not only expected that, but also had already a plan for it as well. His plan was to just grab you. His strong arm wrapped around your swimsuit-covered hips, before he kicked himself off the swimming pool's floor to the surface. He was fast, and on the water's edge he let go of you. You took a big gulp of air that you have been foolishly depriving your body of. "What the fuck was that?" shouted the blonde boy. You gasped. You scared the hell out of me!" "I'm sorry," you cried. Seeing you distraught like this, he seemed to change his approach. "The fuck are you crying for?" You glanced at the changing rooms in a split-second decision that, now that you thought about it, was very foolish. You attempted to lift yourself out of the water, but you were too slow. Bakugou grabbed your ankle, and like a duck toy being squeezed, you let out a quick yelp before being forcefully thrown back into the pool. Once you broke surface again, Bakugou laughed. "Oh no, you're not getting away that easily." He was blushing a little. That squeak was adorable. You sunk your head as he proceeded to sit down on the water's edge, letting his feet dangle into the liquid. "Alright, go on." You sighed, finally having given up. I like swimming," you muttered loud enough for him to hear. "Sure, I get that. But you never joined us when it was the appropriate season for it." Appropriate season for it? He was kidding, was he? But then again, why was he here? "So tell me, what have you been doing?" Due to your condition, you couldn't really blush, but you could still feel your blood rush to your face. You? Did he really have to take advantage of every slight bit of weakness you showed? His devious grin was smug and all-consuming. "I'm shy, okay?" He blinked in confusion. "Not just shy, I don't feel normal." "I really hope you don't want me to comment on that." "See, that's what I mean," you cried. You held out one of your arms. "It's this ugly green color. It doesn't feel like normal skin. It's gross." You buried your face in your hands. If this was a nightmare, you hoped you'd wake up out of it. "You realize you are, right?" You nodded. "And that one of the girls who entered the beauty pageant at the festival was a similar mutant to you, and may I remind you, she was third." You sniffled. No one gives a crap anymore about mutations. You clenched your teeth. But I do. He leaned a bit back. He leaned a bit back at your outburst. Mutations are very unique. Sure, I may have a similar mutation to her, but it's, well, again, only similar. I don't want to be unique. You huffed. Why do you want to be a hero? Your lips quivered. All heroes are unique. You burst into laughter. Are you serious? He smirked. Alright, I'll bite. Tell me why heroes aren't unique. In today's society, heroes are as common as police officers. We have just celebrity status. I mean, hell, look at Ida. His entire family has the same gimmick, running fast. I mean, hell, look at Ida. His entire family has the same gimmick, running fast. And wearing an armor that admittedly looks quite sick. Bakugou laughed. This right there. I bet for a split second you forgot how embarrassed you truly were. You made a noise of discomfort, but he was right. Bakugou crossed his arms in defiance. See, nerd? It's easy to get used to being looked at. No, he furrowed his brows. So when it's showing yourself to others that's an issue, why do you still want to be a celebrity? You sighed and slowly swam towards Bakugou, took hold of the edge and lifted yourself up, to sit down next to him. My costume covers my entire body, remember? I do still want the prestige that comes with the job. He nodded. Yeah, right. I forgot. Your costume was a skin-tight suit with a bit of padding for protection. It had tubes running across it that would allow you to spray the corrosive blood coming from your guilds at opponents. The acidic compound was highly dangerous for non-biological targets, melting through locks in seconds. And sprayed on a fleshy target, had the same effect as scalding hot water. It was enough to incapacitate most villains, especially if some got in their eyes. So, why are you out here then? You sighed. I just love swimming. With a dark chuckle, you added. I was quite literally born for it. He smirked, but thankfully didn't laugh. But as I said, I'm too embarrassed to swim in front of others. He huffed. You're cute, he said. You quickly turned your head to face him, and Bakugou almost immediately hung his head. His face flushed like a tomato. Did he really just say that out loud? He couldn't believe it himself. Sorry. It's okay. He just made it awkward. Wait, it really was awkward, but now it was actually painfully so. Wait, it already was awkward, but now it was actually painfully so. Somehow the tables were turned now. Both of you being embarrassed. You scratched a spot on the back of your head, feeling the need to say something. But then he slid back into the water. You came to swim, didn't you? He growled. Then swim. You blinked, taken off guard by the sudden shift in tone. Was he more embarrassed than you right now? You gulped, but decided to dive in yourself after all. Just like before, the warm water was lifting you up into a weightless void. You could stay in here forever. While you just lied on your back, letting water float you across, Bakugou was doing leaps around the pool, grunting loudly every once in a while. You were glad a guy like him was the one to interrupt the peace at least. He was so focused in his laps that you felt actually a bit of comfort. That he wasn't looking at you. But maybe he should have, as 5 minutes later something heavy hit your side. You shrieked as you struggled, and then were dragged down into the abyss. You opened your eyes, seeing Bakugou's face buried deep into your hip, his arms stiff as both of you sunk to the ground. For a moment neither of you dared to move. This was an awkward and embarrassing situation. Once your back thudded against the floor, he crawled off of you to look into your eyes. Your heart jumped, and he was blushing. He said something, but only bubbles came out. Then he simply shrugged, and at a speed you didn't think he was capable of in the water, he dived to tackle you, his arms wrapping around you, and his lips pressing onto yours. In truth, this entire encounter, Bakugou did it on purpose. He had seen you leave the dorms from his window. He didn't expect his hormones to take over his rational thinking, though. Plus, he was quickly running out of air. But then he felt your cold arms wrap around his waist. You accepted him, just like he hoped you would. The kiss only lasted for a few seconds before you began to make noises of discomfort. But then, you bravely opened up your gills, filtering out the delicious oxygen from the water. As expected, the chlorine stung, but it wasn't that bad. Before long, you forcefully parted his lips, breathing healthy oxygen into him. His nose let out a few surprised bubbles. This feeling was exhilarating. He pushed further into you, sealing your lips together. Both your hearts jumped, and your cold amphibious body heated up, making you more and more needy and hungry for more. Meanwhile, Aizawa realized that 2 students were breaking curfew as he looked at his security tablet. The tired homeroom teacher grunted as he got out of bed. With half-lidded eyes, he put on a jacket and left the teacher's dorms. If he found Izuku and Katsuki fight again, there would be hell to pay. He followed the signal the security bots were giving to the UA. He followed the signal the security bots were giving to UA's sports pool. The man rubbed his eyes. There was no one. Then his heart stopped for a second. Did his precious students drown? Not hesitating, he quickly rushed through the changing rooms and into the pool area. Before stopping, surprised, his sharp eyes focused on a small bundle in the deepest point of the pool's water. 2 bodies pressed up against each other, thankfully still clothed in UA swim gear. The man chuckled quietly and turned around. Teenagers, he coughed. He scoffed and walked up to a nearby bench. Take your time, kids. I'll wait, he muttered with an evil grin. He didn't want to ruin Bakugou's and your moment, but he still was obligated to punish both of you for breaking curfew.